Om. 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 Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavtu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwarah Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Namaste, welcome to today's session. We have a good program today for you. Vegetarianism, a healthy lifestyle choice. In these COVID times, it's probably very apt. I'm surrounded by food right here when I'm working from home these days. And our two panelists today want to take us through what it is that makes us what we are, what we eat. Today, they will be sharing tips with us across a whole range of topics encompassing vegetarianism, including the importance of raw food in our diet, the benefits of fermented food, and their take on ingredients that have a transformational effect on our health and well-being. So today's session is going to be actually taking us through, healthy eating habits, sources of protein in a vegetarian diet, and vegetarian options in superfoods. We'll also have some cooking demonstrations for us. But before we get there, I want to introduce our panelists. I'll start with Ms. Renu Suresh. Renu holds a bachelor's degree in applied sciences, food science and technology. She started a career in Nestle Malaysia in the infant nutrition marketing division. Over the years, she's embraced being a foodie at heart and loves to experiment in her kitchen. She brings together modern ingredients with traditional recipes to strike a balance between nutrition and home cooked goodness. Renu currently teaches piano and is an accomplished music composer, having composed for major productions at Temple of Fine Arts. She is joined with Ms. Sonal Niranjan. Sonal is an engineer turned wellness coach. Early encounters with health challenges in an extended family made her very conscious of adopting a health-centric lifestyle. Her interactions with the wellness quotient community has driven her to study nutrition and wellness even further. Over the years, she has found happiness in sharing her passion for well-being by influencing family and friends to make better choices and lead healthier lives. Sonal also contributes as a parent volunteer at Temple of Fine Arts. Over to both you ladies.
Hi everyone, I'm Renu Suresh, and here we have Sonal Niranjan, and we are both from the Temple of Fine Arts. Thanks for tuning in today to our sharing of healthy eating and vegetarianism, which we are both kind of passionate about because we enjoy exploring different kinds of vegetarian cuisine and benefiting from the health benefits as well. So it's something we want to share with you today. We have in front of us from historical times. You have proponents of vegetarian eating, where they have lived a vegetarian life and really benefited from it, starting from Mahatma Gandhi ji, and then you go to even scientist Albert Einstein, who all were proponents of vegetarian eating. And then you even have our movie stars in Hollywood, like Richard Gere. He is a vegetarian, practicing vegetarian. And of course, you have the more recent ones like Kate Winslet, the heroine of Titanic. She is a vegetarian. And likewise, you have, Ariana Grande. She is actually recent, Teen Heartthrob, she's a singer as well as an actress. So you all have all these people who are practicing vegetarianism in a very successful way, and they are role models for all of us to have healthy eating and how can we benefit from being a vegetarian. Both of us have been vegetarians our whole life, but there are also many people we know who have like these stars who have actually adopted vegetarianism in their living. So it's really something doable and within our reach. Maybe what we can actually think about is these people, especially the ancient proponents of vegetarianism and historians who have actually expounded on these ideas. They actually used food as medicine. So what they did was they used food to prevent the onset of any diseases, and they also used it to treat or cure the ailments. So it's both preventative and curative as well. So that's how we see, we are what we eat, because when you have a healthy eating lifestyle, we are what we eat. That's the old adage, and like it was so relevant before, it's so relevant even today. I think that's one of the beauties of vegetarian food. It's so easily available. In Singapore, we have the benefits of getting plenty of abundance of fruits and vegetables and nuts.
In fact, Singapore is a
from
melting
everywhere.
pot for
Different cuisines and different cultures. So what I want to do actually is think about how our human body, maybe Sonal, you can tell us, how is a human system, our digestive system, how does it compare with a herbivore or a carnivore? How does it compare? Yeah.
Actually, so before I go tell up something about it, any digestive system, any human or animal, the role of the digestive system is to break down the food and and transfer the nutrition to the body cell to produce energy and repair. So if you see a carnivore animal, their intestinal tract is 3 to 6 times of their total body length. And if you compare the same with herbivore and human, that is a 10 to 12 times.
So a herbivore and a human, you're saying, is the same long length, which is
we
actually
have a long length of
yeah.
intestinal tract, and also it's not straight, it's bumpy.
Yeah.
So the carnivorous animal's stomach is 20 times more acidic than herbivore and humans.
Right.
And the reason is so that the meat or the food what they eat digest very fast in their body. And if it is because our intestine tract is very long, so when we eat meat, it stays longer in our intestine, and that is the time it gets putrefied and releases toxins, and which can harm our liver, our kidney, and also what happens is carnivore animal doesn't require any fiber to digest their food.
Mm-hmm.
And if you compare same with the herbivore and humans, we require dietary fiber in our food to absorb.
Yeah. So I mean, from what you're saying, it seems like our whole digestive system is actually designed to eat a vegetarian diet, because the whole structure and the acidity, everything is based on a herbivorous animal's system, right? So the whole design of our system is meant to be vegetarian, if you look at that way.
That's
right?
True.
Am I right? Yeah.
And in today's world, all the animals goes to given growth hormone or antibiotics, and the reason is to have a in shorter time have a more yield, which means more flesh, and also they can survive in this unhygienical conditions. So when they are processing or when you are cooking meat, they produces the carcinogenic compounds
because it's high temperature.
Yes, because of the high temperature plus the processing and the lot of stress when they are slaughtering the animal. You go through a lot of stress, and that is releases the stress hormone in their body.
So what I understand is that when the animals are brought to the place to be slaughtered, right, as they are moving towards the slaughterhouse, the slaughter place, they are stressed out, right?
Yes.
So the stress hormones build up, and this actually reaches a level where it's toxic. When it's toxic, and then you eat that meat, that's actually the toxins actually going into your body. So there are many ways where you have the growth hormones, then you have the antibiotics, then the stress and the toxins which build up in the animal, which is transferred to us when we eat that meat. So on all those fronts, I think it's really something you
And
need
it all,
to.
all these
Yeah.
things will develop. A lot of research has been done in this field, and they show that these are the reason for a lot of chronic degenerative disease in today's world. Nowadays, cancer, diabetes, coronary heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, nervous system disorder. These are very common terms in today's world we are seeing. In
Yeah.
fact, you will be surprised, Singapore Cancer Society data shows that 1 out of 4 Singaporean are going to get cancer in their lifetime, and colon cancer is the highest among all the cancers.
Right. Yeah, it's. I think colon cancer is pretty high, especially for those who have a high meat diet. So there's hope in the sense that let's take heart that if you watch what we eat in terms of adopting a more vegetarian diet, even if you eat meat right now, if you have a be more aware and adopt a more vegetarian based diet, you can actually cut down those chances. And especially so, I think you have vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
These are all cruciferous vegetables which have special properties which actually have a protection to prevent cancer. So let's take heart and try and adopt the simple practices which can offset any high meat diet. And it's something you can do gradually. You can start cutting down on your meat and increasing your intake of all these cruciferous vegetables, which are more healthy. And there are many ways of preparing it in a really delicious way. So we'll show you some things later, right, when we do our cooking workshop. Yeah. I think so, no? A lot of us know what is a balanced diet, a healthy balanced diet, right? We need to have our carbohydrates, our healthy fats, then we have proteins, vitamins, minerals, and fiber. But what happens in our city dwelling, right? We are rushing around. We are sometimes very busy and stressed, so we just grab whatever is available, and whatever we grab, the convenience food is sometimes not balanced and also highly processed, right? Really highly processed food. So you can't help it sometimes. But how do we offset that? We can actually eat more plant-based food, and I think there's guidelines for that.
Yes, in fact, the WHO guideline says that
Yeah.
we should be eating 7 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables in a day,
Right.
which doesn't include our starchy vegetables.
Right.
Starchy vegetables are like potatoes and roots, basically, which grows below ground.
Sweet potato and
Sweet
stuff.
potatoes. And other things.
Though they are good.
And,
Sweet potatoes are good,
yes,
actually.
sweet potato
Yeah.
is good, but if you are frying it, what you are doing
Yeah,
is,
that's true.
you are converting it to the processed food.
Correct.
So,
yeah.
Second thing is, more important is we should be coloring our diet. What do you mean by coloring? God has created different colors in fruits and vegetables, and there are purpose. For example, we have a bowl of fruits, vegetable here. Red represents for the good heart health. Orange represents for our eyes.
So did you say that red was for heart?
Yes.
Okay.
Red is for the heart, orange is for our eyes, green is for the cellular repair.
Right.
Same, we have a purple color also, or blue color, so that is for our brain health. So if we mix the vegetarian diet in our meals, what will happen? We are eating all the colors, and the more colorful our plate is, it look more palatable. Because we want to have a tasty food. So there is a very good option that you can balance your diet with your fruits, with your nuts, with your salads, your legumes,
your tofu, lentils, even different kinds of milk. You have even all your nut milks, right? Your almond milk, your cashew milk. These are all, and soya milk, of course. So you have a different variety where they all are basically plant-based, and they will basically, nullify any ill effects of fast food, which sometimes you have to have because
in fact,
no
the
choice.
studies also shows that a lot of studies shows that non-vegetarian diet is not just about nutrition-rich food. It is also a counter affects your all the chronic degenerative diseases. It's one of the highly recommended diet. That's the reason a lot of celebrities are nowadays shifting to vegetarian diet.
So basically, these celebrities are using their food as medicine. Basically, that's what we said earlier, right? Using food as medicine. And there's another thing about protein, right? Some people feel that if I move to a vegetarian diet, am I going to be having less protein or not enough good quality protein? So let's explore that. Maybe how should we advise, everyone, like, are we losing out on protein?
Actually, I would say there's a big myth that vegetarian diets lack the protein.
Right.
In fact, if you study the vegetarian diet, you will find we have a various options to fulfill your daily requirement of protein. Let's first understand what is a daily requirement for an adult. They require 0.8 to 1 gram of per kg body weight. For example, somebody is 60 kg. That person requires 60 gram of protein every day. How he can fulfill from the vegetarian diet? 1 cup broccoli gives you 3 grams of protein. Then you have a 1 cup of cooked quinoa, which gives you 6 gram of protein. If you are taking a dairy products, then 1 glass of milk gives you 6 gram of protein. 1 katori bowl of yogurt gives you 6 gram of protein. If you are not taking dairy, then you have a sprouts. 1 cup of sprouts gives you 6 grams of protein. Then we have nuts and nut butters. 1 tablespoon of nut butter gives you 3 grams of protein. Then we have seeds. 1 tablespoon of chia seeds gives you 3 grams of protein. So you can see so much, and tofu is there also.
Right. So you see a variety of protein sources. You can have it for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, and each protein source is different, and it's variety, and it's also tasty as well. So you're not going to lose out on any meat protein bag, because of course it's available in Singapore as well, right? I mean, you have got tofu products available in different forms. You have different kinds of nut butters. You have your chickpeas. You have your different vegetables, which like broccoli and stuff, which are high in protein as well. And different kinds of leaves. Like for example, the moringa leaf actually is high in protein. So we'll explain about that a bit later. So don't worry about your protein. It'll be there in a good vegetarian diet. And like protein, another component of vegetarian food is actually having raw food. So we always cook our food, but how about having it raw? And of course, when you think about raw food, what is it? It's actually your salads. Am I right?
Yeah. Start with your salad, then you have nuts, then you have sprouts. So you have various options available. In fact, if you want to explore different cuisine, the pesto is a best example of, everybody loves the pesto, right? So that is raw. Then you have you can make your hummus, which is also raw.
Mediterranean hummus, which is made from chickpeas and olive oil and garlic.
So your spices, right? You can add spices. So it's all raw food. And the benefit about raw food is that they are nutritionally dense. And plus, that's why when you eat it, it gives you more energy. It helps you to your digestive system to be very healthy. Today, everybody wants to have a strong immunity, right? So adding the raw food in our diet is one of the sources to build our immunity very strong, because they are, as I mentioned, they are nutritionally dense. Plus, one of the benefit of raw food is having food is fiber. So they are full with fiber. So they are very naturally detoxifier for your body. And one of the very good news for all the girls and ladies there, if you add raw food in your diet, you will have a youthful, glowing skin. So what is the guideline? How much raw food we can eat in a day? So it's very simple. 30 to 40% of your diet should comes from the raw food.
So for raw food, just want to add to what Sonal said, right? Your raw food basically contains enzymes. So if you don't heat your food and it's raw, the enzymes are not destroyed, and the enzymes will already do the job of digesting the food for you already. So you just have to eat it, and therefore the amount of energy you get is, pure energy, which can be absorbed easily, because you're not destroying the enzymes which are normally done when you're heating up the food. And second thing, you're giving a break to your whole digestive system, because the enzymes are doing the work. The enzymes are not killed, right?
So your body doesn't have to produce any its own enzymes.
And plus, raw food has got high water content. Natural water is there. You're not removing the water. You're not dehydrating the food when you're cooking it. So the fluid content is there. You have got easy digestion because it's been done by the enzymes, which are not destroyed by heat. And third thing, the amount of energy you're going to have. So ladies out there, do take more raw fruits and vegetables in your diet. Like what Sonal was saying, is about 30 to 40% of your intake should be raw foods. And now we move to a very interesting topic, which I was being like, it's sort of the buzzword now. We're talking about superfoods. If you look at traditional cultures, they basically used to ferment the food. Ferment the food because there weren't fridges available those days. And how do you preserve it? So you ferment the food, and the fermentation process will produce good bacteria, which we call
Probiotics.
probiotics, right? And that's how food was preserved. So if we look at our yogurt, that's a very ancient practice of preserving milk and into yogurt, and that yogurt has got probiotics naturally, and that really is tasty. Okay, and then the fermentation process itself produces the good bacteria, and the good environment with the bacteria produces will optimize the environment in your stomach so that your all the nutrients from your food can be easily absorbed. That's the main benefit of a probiotic. And today we have such good examples of fermented food, right? We have our what do you call it, our sourdough bread. Then from Korean cuisine, what do we have?
We have a kimchi. Then we have
kombucha, and of course your kefir, right? The more recently we've got kefir as well.
Yes.
So we have a lot of good examples of fermented food and just considered superfoods nowadays. And
one more example I can give, since you have mentioned about the benefit about the fermented food. People out there who have taken the antibiotic, right? That is the time what happens. Our good bacteria also get killed during that whole process. So after your antibiotic course is done, you should include the fermented food along with the raw vegetarian food in your diet to build up your immunity by building good bacteria. Because the fiber from your plants, from your salads, your vegetables and fruits is the food for the good bacteria in your gut.
Right. So even when you're on an antibiotic regimen, do increase your intake of your probiotics like yogurt and even your your idli and your dosa, because they all have got natural probiotics in it. So idli, dosa, they're really staple probiotic food, with natural bacteria in it. And we look at all this, you have Western cultures now adopting Indian practices, having turmeric in your diet, having ghee, and what else? Coconut, bananas, cashews. So these are all superfoods, known very much for their antioxidant properties and many others. And we'd like to zoom in on one particular ingredient, which is moringa leaves. Moringa leaves is abundant in Singapore. You have it growing all over Asia, from Philippines to India to Southeast Asia. You have people eating different parts of the moringa tree. Now, moringa leaves per se actually has high protein, high in calcium and iron, and also high in antioxidants. So that's actually a real superfood. And in fact, today you have this moringa leaf tablets. But rather than having the tablets, you can it's easily available. Grow a pot in your house maybe, or even you get it in the market easily available. And you can use it. And today we have an interesting recipe we want to share with you as well in our workshop later. We're going to demonstrate how to make an interesting soup using moringa leaves, right? So that's something about superfoods, which you have it all there. It's all within our reach.
Superfood is always there. Now the stamp is given to them that these foods comes into the superfood category. So we don't have to wait for the science to tell that, okay, eat this food because this is healthy. We just have to incorporate in our daily eating habits.
And being aware about it.
Just be aware about it. And when by the time the research comes that this is a very good food, you will feel anyways happy. Oh, I'm already
doing it. Exactly. As vegetarians, how do we practice mindful eating habits? So we really need to be conscious about when we are really hungry and when we are not. So try to eat when you're hungry, so that the food is actually absorbed and digested well. The same thing applies to how we drink water, right? So we should actually drink our food and eat our water, in the sense that we should drink water slowly, and at the same time drink water like 20 minutes before a meal and not during the meal. Because when you drink water during a meal, what happens? The digestive enzymes and juices are being diluted. So therefore, always drink water in between meals. It's fine, but not during a meal. And stay hydrated, because our Singapore weather, right? It's humid and it's also air conditioned. So that's another tip about drinking water. And moving on to even fruits. How do we eat our fruits?
most of the time I have seen that people say that we don't eat dessert, but we eat fruits after our meal. So my recommendation is always that you eat your fruits before your meals. The basic reason is, when we eat our food, body start producing the digestive juices.
Right.
So when you eat after that your fruit, the fruit get putrefied. And being a vegetarian, you have already, if you have eaten properly your fruit, and so it gives you a lot of nutrition.
Yeah.
Because it's a dense in lot of nutrition, right?
Correct.
And plus, when you eat your fruit before your meal, you won't feel thirsty also, because fruit has fiber and water.
That's right. So always eat your fruits before a meal or in between meals, but not after a meal, because you don't want your fruits to sit in the stomach and be putrefied. And we'd like to share about a very hot topic nowadays, which is something to do with fasting. Ancient cultures, right, from Chinese to Buddhist to Christian, Muslim, Hindu cultures, we all have fasting as part of our diets. And the fasting is done in order for us to give a break to our systems, to rejuvenate, to replenish, and to be really efficient machines. So in the vegetarian diet, having your fast is so important. And you can actually define your diet. You can have fruit diets. You can, have a diet of fruits once a week or even once a month. You can actually have a diet where you have one meal a day,
Yes.
And right now we have this buzzword, which is called intermittent fasting, which is really something which our forefathers are practicing, in the sense that they believed, for vegetarians especially, you should actually follow the sun in terms of how you eat. So when you eat, you should actually stop your last meal by the time the sun sets. So have an early dinner, and then you give a break to your whole system. Don't have your supper, don't have your snacks. And basically, when you actually have your breakfast the next morning, you're going to be having a nice empty stomach. And in the morning, your breakfast should be light meals,
nutrition
right?
dense, you can say,
like
but
fruits.
yes, fruits. You can have people nowadays love smoothies.
Yeah,
so they can have a green smoothies by adding avocado, then spinach or kale or a banana along with that. Or people wants to have berries smoothie, they can have a berries along with your banana, or mango. So there are a lot of combinations are available. So as a being a vegetarian, when you combine with intermittent fasting, right, you will reap the benefit in multifold. The reason is the vegetarian diet is full with fibers. We are a lot of plant compounds, which we say in nutrition terms, like antioxidant, carotenoids, bioflavonoids, polyphenols. Lot of buzz is up along with these words. And these are nothing but the plants nutrition, which helps to have a more immunity, a strong immunity in our body, more energy. And plus, what happens when you are having a plant-based right diet, it is going to give you energy, plus make you satiated for longer time, because of the nutrition dense and plus fibers. And lot of water is there in all the fruits and vegetables, so your body is always hydrated.
So you're having your fiber, you're having your high fluidity in your fruits, right? And you're having your nuts and your grains. So these are all, such a well balanced meal. And therefore intermittent fasting can be part of your life, something sustainable, and with not much effort you can actually do it. So we'd like to recommend that you practice this. And what we have in store for you actually today is, we're going to be doing a cooking demonstration, where actually it's like a dinner meal, right?
It's a very good example for what can a healthy dinner can be. Instead of having a lot of carbohydrate based dinner, or if you go for a non-vegetarian diet, which is full of saturated fats, high in sodium and high in cholesterol, here you will see that a balanced meal has a more nutrition, more fiber, and it is literally balance your meal.
So we won't tell you what we're going to show you later, but do join us for a cooking demonstration, which is the next section. Thank you so much for staying and tuning on to us in this session. Thank you. So we're actually going to have a cooking demo for you with a nutritious meal comprising of a salad, which has sprouted beans in it and other delicious ingredients. And then we move on to actually a healthy soup incorporating moringa leaves. And finally, we have the piece de resistance, which is our quinoa khichdi with vegetables. So we will start with the salad. So we're going to start making sprouted mung salad, which is going to be the starter of our meal or dinner. And so now let's start.
So instead of using the market dressing, what we are going to do is that we will make our home-based dressing. And the best part is you can make this dressing and keep it in your fridge, so you can use in the future.
Right.
So it's very simple. You just take olive oil.
Olive oil is great because it's a really good fat and it's also tasty.
And then we'll take the honey.
Honey, which is a natural sweetener. Just a teaspoon will do, I think, in this case.
Then we will take some
Peanuts.
It's roasted and crushed.
Yeah.
If you don't like peanut, you can omit the peanut.
Yeah.
Then we will have some lemon juice.
Lemon juice. Yeah.
Then we'll have some chili flakes. Again, if you like more spicy, you can have more chili. I'm just going to put like almost little bit because not everybody is fond of very spicy. Then some salt.
Yeah.
And then just give a little whisk. If you want, you can put make it in as I was mentioning, right? You can put more, make more, and put in a bottle and put it in the fridge.
Yeah.
So now let's start adding our vegetables. First is the sprouted moon. Capsicum. We are taking the different colors as we are mentioning in our talk, that you can color your diet, and the best way is the salad. So that's why we have taken the yellow color for our capsicums, green cucumber, then we have orange carrot.
It is high in beta carotene, good for the skin, good for the eyes.
Right. Then we have tomatoes.
Baby tomatoes in this case. I love baby tomatoes.
Yeah, you can use the cherry tomatoes. If you don't like cherry tomatoes, you can have the normal tomatoes. Then we have pomegranate.
Yeah. High in antioxidants, pomegranate.
We have
Broccoli.
And we have
Tofu. Yeah. This tofu has been slightly pre-cooked so that it's not too raw. And then we have the ever rich food, which is avocado, which will give a nice smooth mouthfeel to the whole salad. It's
And
it's a
avocado
good
is-
source of fat, right?
Yes.
Avocados, yeah.
So that's how it will make you feel satiated. If you want to make your salad crunchy, you can have a nuts, seeds or
Seeds,
nuts.
yeah.
So in this case, I'm going to use seed mix, which has 4 seeds: pumpkin seed, sunflower seed. Then we have flax seed and the chia seeds.
Yeah.
And you just gives a whisk to it.
That's looks really colorful and interesting. So here you have all the different nutrients. You have the protein from the tofu, you have the antioxidants from the pomegranate, then you have, of course, your broccoli bringing you all the iron, and then your vitamin A and vitamin E from your carrots. And it's just wholesome because you also have your, all these little seeds from flax seeds. They all have a lot of high protein and different minerals and vitamins. So it's really a wholesome salad.
Here your salad is
Done. Yeah, looks really great. moringa leaf soup, which we talked about in our talk. So we'll start with some olive oil. And then we have jeera. We saute the jeera for a while. Now these are actually roughly chopped moringa leaves.
So Renu, we can use only the leaf part, or we can use little bit of the stem from the leaf along with that.
Actually, the stem is very nutritional. A lot of the benefits of the moringa plant also come from the stem. So, but so when you are actually breaking off the leaves from the stem, a little bit of stem is fine. It's good for the body. It's high in fiber and it's as nutritious, if not more, than the leaves. So we saute the moringa leaves for a while in the olive oil. And as we said, it's high in iron, high in calcium, high in protein. There's so many benefits to the moringa leaf. Now this is cooked mang dal, which we'll add. And some water. So to cut the flavor, moringa leaf can be a bit a light spiciness and a light bitterness. So an ingredient which we found really which works with moringa leaves is your corn. This corn has been slightly pre-cooked, and you add this corn. It will give you some sweetness and crunchiness, as well as it takes off the the bitterness of the moringa leaf. A little bit of water, a little bit more of water. Should be like a soup consistency. Yeah. Then we add some pudina leaves, mint leaves, which will really complement the flavor of your moringa leaf. It gives a nice freshness and aroma to the whole soup. And of course, we can't forget our salt and pepper. And there you have your soup. So it's going to be cooking away while you do other things. So let's just wait for it to cook. It smells really nice.
I can smell the mint and black pepper. They complement each others. The fragrance is so nice.
Yeah. So there you go, moringa leaf soup with corn. Our soup is ready now. We have just added some red capsicum to give it some color, and our soup's done.
So now we'll start cooking our porridge,
which is our khichdi, and it's quinoa khichdi with mixed vegetables. We start with 1 tablespoon of ghee. Let it melt for a while. There was jeera. Jeera is also known as cumin. Yeah. So here we have a cup of mixed vegetables, which has been sort of pre-cooked slightly. You can get the smell of the ghee as you're cooking. It's really nice. And you can put whatever vegetables you want. This is broccoli, beans, a little bit of cauliflower. So let the vegetables cook well. And so as you know, quinoa is really high in protein, and a lot of high nutrition. It's got more protein and less carbohydrate. So we're using quinoa today.
And I think, we have added, other than quinoa in this, there's
Yes, this is mung dal with quinoa and turmeric and a little bit of salt. So this has been pressure cooked. You can choose to also cook it boiled as well, but pressure cooking is easy. You just throw in your quinoa, your mung dal, your turmeric and your salt. So it's all been pre-cooked. Right, so now our vegetables are more or less 3/4 cooked already.
Alright.
Yeah, you can add this. And to this, we have to add about 2 cups of water to make it nice and soupy and more like a broth. So you can actually add the water now and wash it out. 2 cups of water. Yeah. So we have the water. So this is basically your mixed vegetables, your jeera, your quinoa and mung bean. So while it's boiling now, let's finish it up with a little bit of pepper. There's already salt in the beginning, so we can just have a little bit more salt. Okay. And last but not least, we have to add our coriander leaves for garnish. And we let this boil for about 5 minutes. See, everything else is more or less cooked, so 5 minutes is just enough for it to blend together well, and our quinoa khichdi is done. Let's let it boil. So now our khichdi is done. It's been cooking for about 10 minutes, and this is our nutritious quinoa vegetable khichdi.
It smells delicious.
Yeah. Looking forward to having it later for dinner. So here we have our vegetarian meal.
It looks so appetizing.
Yeah, colorful as well. So we have our sprouted mung bean salad, moringa leaf soup, and our quinoa khichdi or porridge. Let's dig in.
Yes, can't wait to.
Yeah, I'm going to have this soup.
And I will start with my salad.
Yeah. Hope you enjoyed this session of cooking and talking about healthy vegetarian food from the Temple of Fine Arts. And we really had fun doing this together.
Yes.
Our next session is a question and answer session, and so do feel to ask any questions you might have, and we hope we can answer your questions.
Thank you. That was really informative, and I could literally smell it across here. So I'm feeling really hungry, and I'm sure we are going to have a lot of questions around this. But thank you very much for sharing your recipes with us. A lot of people have also said that they found it very informative. So the first question that we have is, one of the questions that people say is, vegetarianism is great, but should we be vegan, and how different is one from the other, and what are your suggestions for, differences between a vegan or a vegetarian diet?
Yeah, so I think vegetarianism is something passed on to us, from our forefathers, and generations of people have been vegetarian for, hundreds of years. The thing is, it's well balanced, and we're kind of used to it. So veganism is something more recent, and it's a personal preference, really, for whatever reason. It could be environmental, it could be various reasons, but it's a personal choice. And if you should want to be a vegan, in our discussion, we had a lot of options for plant-based ingredients and plant-based food. So that's something you want to consider if you really feel strongly about being a vegan. But both are fine in terms of being nutritionally sufficient to sustain your practice of being, kind and also healthy. Yeah. So it's a personal preference.
Sure.
Yeah.
The other question is a little local. It's expensive to be vegetarian in Singapore. Any tips on how people can manage that? Your thoughts around that?
If you have just now, we have shared a recipe about how the vegetarian food can be, and I don't think so. It's very expensive recipe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If you are talking about a gourmet vegetarian meat, so if you are a non-veg or vegetarian also, that food costs a lot. And
if you eat out, it's going to cost a lot, right? So,
so it's anyways, if you are going to be opting a healthy lifestyle, so the conscious choice always to eat home-based cooked food, because when you eat outside, you cannot control the quality of the food. And it's highly processed most of the time. So I don't think so. Becoming a vegetarian food diet is expensive. In fact, if you want to look in the term of your expenses, either you pay now in your food, or you will pay later in your health when you face any challenges. So it's personal choice when you want to pay.
True, I agree. I mean, if you don't look after your health by what you eat, you're going to pay much more in medical expenses, I guess. And you guys mentioned it as well in terms of, people being vegetarian for maybe hundreds, maybe more. Do you think there's a link between, what's written in our holy texts or the Shastras or whatever, and ahimsa, and then cooking vegetarian? Is there a link? And did you guys find a lot of that as you were doing research for, your talk?
I'll let you answer that. Yeah.
So basically, if you go through our scriptures, our scriptures, all the scriptures, either it's Ramayana, Bhagavad Gita, or Vedas, they all talk about ahimsa. And when I studied it, that is one of the principles behind being a vegetarian. In fact, there is a the essence of that sentence, shloka, is that if you cannot be kind, if you harm anybody or not kind to other, either an animal or a human, you will face a lot of karmas. So I believe the ahimsa is one of the way, if you want to look at the vegetarianism as well, because you are not harming anybody by being a vegetarian.
Okay. And the intention is not there. I mean, you're eating a plant-based diet, and even talking about the intention is to we treat cows as sacred animals, right? So we lived in coexistence, in harmony. So there's no intention to harm any animal. And it's, that's why even for, our Pongal festival, we celebrate the cow as a sacred animal. And likewise. So I think, So I think vegetarianism is very much something where ahimsa is embedded in the whole idea.
Yeah, that makes sense. Any thoughts that you guys have around, the latest fads of impossible or beyond meats, or some of these vegetarian, they say it's plant-based. Any thoughts around this that you all have?
I think it's it's great that they have these options available. Like, so if you go to a fast food place or you go to a Western restaurant, you have an option to be vegetarian because you have a vegetarian burger. But just like any other fast food, it's not something you want to do very often. Once in a way, it's fine, because even though it's plant-based, it's still very highly processed, right? So you're still processing a lot of different ingredients. You're using flavor enhancers. You're using, food stabilizers, and then preservatives, coloring. So all that is there is still very highly processed. So it's good to have an option once in a way when you're out, but it's also not that great to do something too often. It's once in a way, it's fine. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And any ideas and thoughts about, growing your own food? I see a lot of people, and Singapore has this goal of, whatever, 20 by 20 or 30 by 30. Do you think that this can sort of help people go vegetarian? Because most of it is plants which look very leafy, very green, and adds color to your palate. Is that something that you guys would encourage? Everybody should have a home garden in which you can grow some of the, chilies maybe, or some of the smaller vegetables. Is that something that you'll encourage and do personally?
Definitely. I mean, homegrown is always, more nutrition. You can control the soil quality so that your yield is better. In fact, you will be the best person to go ahead about it, because you have such a beautiful garden, kitchen garden.
Yeah. I mean, during this whole circuit breaker, I took the chance to really go into growing my own vegetables, and it's been so fulfilling and just amazing to see, your own vegetables growing right in front in your own backyard. I'm fortunate to have a garden, and so, from chilies to, lady's finger to, a lot of other things like different kinds of spinach. The flavor you get when you actually pluck your own vegetables and cook it the same day is unparalleled. Nothing like it. So definitely. And I think now in Singapore, they're doing a lot of different ways. They're encouraging us to, have vertical gardens. So even if you have a flat, if you have a balcony, you can still, plant your vegetables. And there's a lot of tips online on how to grow your own vegetables in your little plots, which is great. So definitely is something which we recommend. Yeah.
To add on one more point, right? If you have your own kitchen garden, what will happen when you pluck your vegetables? They will be nutritionally dense compared to what you get in your supermarkets, because by the time they reach to the shelf, they had harvested much before their ripening time. Exactly. So they are not nutritionally dense, those vegetables, compared to your kitchen garden. So definitely any point of time, kitchen garden is the best way to get your fruits and vegetables.
Because if I'm not mistaken, a lot of the nutrients actually enter the fruit or the vegetable right at the end, just before it's ripe. So, when you actually pluck your vegetable, when it's at the optimum ripeness, it's when you get the most nutrients from it. Whereas, when it's done commercially, they pluck it earlier, and therefore it hasn't reached the optimum level of nutrients. So that's one of the main, apart from the flavor, of course, nutritionally, I think it's far superior to have your own vegetables. And though I know it's not feasible, on a large scale, but a little bit still way it'll help, right? Like to go and pluck on baby tomatoes from your garden. Let's say you want to make a sandwich. That's great. So,
and like you rightly pointed out, what's going in the soil. It's not like full of pesticides or whatever else. So yeah, that's hopefully all of us have green thumbs. And what would you say about which are the food types that you guys would recommend? Is there anything you spoke about the moringa leaves being really good? Anything that you would classify as a must-have from vegetarian diets? The perception is that you don't get enough protein. How do you substitute? What would be the recommendations on that front from a vegetarian diet point of view?
So, as in our talk, if you have noticed, we had talked about the myth about that vegetarian diet is lack protein, which is not true. If you balance your diet with a proper food, you will get a different. We have different variety of fruits and vegetables and seeds and nuts are available to fulfill your daily requirement of protein. Similarly, with the other nutrition is the same thing, and how much you should be adding it. So 30 to 40% should comes from your raw food, which includes your salads, your nuts, your nut butters, your sprouts. So if you have those things, that is a main source. And plus, if you consume dairy, that dairy also gives you 1 glass of milk, for example. I have said in the talk also that 6 grams of complete protein it gives. And similarly, if you are taking soya also gives you a protein.
So actually, as long as you have, being a vegetarian, you need to have a variety of protein sources. That's important. So you have a little bit from your milk, your cheese, your your nuts. Then you have your bean curd tofu, and then your grains. So the variety will ensure that you have all the amino acids which the body needs, and therefore it will not be, you won't lack anything compared to a meat diet.
For example, if you check our Indian traditional diet, it never have one food. It's not just only rice. It is always there will be a vegetable. There is a raw vegetable, or in South we say it as a kosamri, or or in the North we say it as a salad. Then we have something like a vegetable, dry vegetable, then we have a gravy vegetable, then we have a dal, and then we have a rice, then we have a chapati. So it's a complete meal. So when you are having a complete meal, that gives you a daily your meal requirement, what is required is in terms of your protein, your carbohydrate, your good fats, your micronutrients. So it's never a lack in the vegetarian diet.
Yeah, I'd like to add to Sonal's talking about the different, cuisine. Like in the South, you have sambar, right? So sambar is an excellent source of protein. You're using tur dal, basically in sambar. And it's actually a complete thing because you have your vegetables, you have your dal, and then you have the spices which go with the sambar. So that's the South Indian equivalent of your dal, right? And you have it with vegetables again, you have it with a salad. So it's really complete. And if you in your salad, as we showed in our demonstration, right? When you can add in your sprouted, what do you call it? Sprouted bean, lentils, like you have the mung being sprouted, and then you have your chickpeas, your tofu. So the whole thing is again variety of sources of protein. Yeah.
Thank you so much. This was really informative. I've taken a lot of notes and hopefully learned some new recipes which I have to try out. We'll close today. Thank you for taking time to spend this and share this with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. So some information about us. As you know, this is a festival of Hinduism organized by the Hindu Center. The Hindu Center is a charity formed in 1978 to promote greater awareness of Hinduism as well as raise the knowledge of our Vedic scriptures and practices. The center's activities are based on 3 pillars of Jnana, Bhakti, and Seva. As you can see on the slide, each pillar supports a range of activities. In 2019, the Hindu Center delivered more than 25,000 beneficiary hours in prisons and old age homes. Your support will allow us to deliver even more in the coming years. You can also volunteer your time and expertise through our various projects. You can make a donation at www.hinducenter.org.sg/donations or through the QR code shown here. One-time or regular donations are welcome. Please support generously. If you want to be informed of the Hindu Center's activities, sign up for the WhatsApp at Hindu Center broadcast group, and you will receive timely notices of different events taking place. Send a message to the number shown here and give your name and email ID. The next event will be at 7 p.m. and we'll have more, events coming up in the next few days. So do check out the rest of the event schedules at the festival website, www.sfh.sg. Thank you once again for tuning in.
ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु, सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु, सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु, सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु, सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।